Some dreams aren't fantasies. They're frequencies, waiting for you to tune in. You didn't arrive here by chance. And you certainly didn't come here just to survive. You came because something within you, some deep, quiet knowing, understood that this world is not merely happening to you, it is happening through you. You're not a passive participant in life's unfolding. You're not here to be at the mercy of random circumstances, chaotic news cycles, or the opinions of people who don't even know who they are. You came as a creative force, not just to react, but to transmit. You came to shape the outer world not by force or control, but by aligning with the version of you that already lives in the reality you long for. And I know that sounds strange at first, because we've all been taught that change comes from the outside. More effort, more fixing, more pushing, more achieving. But what if the path forward wasn't about pushing at all? What if the answer wasn't, how do I get what I want? But instead, who do I need to become in order for what I want to recognize me? You see, quantum physics, for all its complexity, quietly reveals something beautifully simple. Reality is not a fixed movie playing in front of you. It's a mirror alive, intelligent, responsive, shaped by the vibration you carry in each moment. The frequency of your thoughts, the tone of your emotions, the atmosphere of your consciousness. These are not invisible background noise. They are the scriptwriters of your life. And here's the part nobody told us growing up. The life you're dreaming of is not waiting on luck, or timing, or for someone else to approve. It's waiting for you to match it in energy. Like a song on the radio you haven't heard yet. Not because it isn't playing, but because you're tuned to the wrong station. Your dream reality isn't off in some distant future. It's in the field right now, already vibrating, already calling. But it can only meet you at the level of who you're being. So the invitation is not to force, hustle, or chase. The invitation is to remember that your outer world is simply the echo of your inner world. To remember that adjusting your state is more powerful than adjusting your schedule. To remember that nothing needs to change out there until you change in here. This is not about denial. It's not about bypassing hardship or pretending challenges don't exist. It's about learning to respond from a higher place than the problem was born from. It's about realizing you are the observer, the tuner, the transmitter. You are not the fear. You are not the limitation. You are the one noticing it, and that means you can shift it. There's a version of you who already lives the life you're imagining, not because they got luckier, but because they became attuned to that life in their mind, in their heart, in their nervous system. They walked as if it were already so. They breathed as if peace had already arrived. They let go not because they gave up, but because they woke up. And now, it's your turn. Not to become someone else, but to remember who you already are underneath all the noise. So if you've been tired, if you've been wondering when it's your time, if you've been doing all the right things and still feeling like something's missing, maybe it's not about doing more. Maybe it's about doing less and being more of the self that's already free. Let's explore that version of you right here, right now. Let's begin not with effort, but with alignment. Not with willpower, but with allowing. Not with fixing the world, but with changing the frequency you're meeting it with. Because once you shift that, you won't have to chase the dream anymore. It will walk straight to your door, recognizing its reflection in you. 1. Your frequency is writing the script of reality. Sometimes it helps to sit quietly and ask yourself, what if reality isn't something happening to me, but something unfolding through me? It's not a new idea, but it's one most of us forget in the noise of everyday survival. See, we've been taught to chase results. We've been conditioned to believe that if we do the right things, say the right affirmations, visualize the right images, then the world will respond accordingly. But here's the deeper truth. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your frequency. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief, You repeat like a silent mantra in your head. It's all vibration. And this vibration isn't theoretical. It's not spiritual fluff. It's a broadcast. You are a transmitter, whether you realize it or not. And life, like a cosmic mirror, isn't judging or punishing. It's simply reflecting, not what you want, not what you're begging for, but what you're tuned into, what you are. You could say it's like music. If you're tuned to a station playing fear and doubt, you don't suddenly hear peace just because you hope to. The only way to hear something new is to change the dial. The same is true in the quantum field. It doesn't care what your ego is shouting. It listens only to the hum beneath your surface, to the song your energy is singing quietly in the background of your being. So many people spend their whole lives trying to change the scene of their life. The job, the partner, the bank account, the weight, the weather. But if you never change the script, the scene repeats, just with different actors. And that script, it's being written by your frequency. It's not about thinking positive and pretending everything is okay. It's about slowing down enough to feel what you're actually broadcasting, and then making gentle, loving adjustments. Maybe the adjustment is choosing trust over control. Maybe it's softening your breath instead of bracing for disappointment. Maybe it's releasing the old belief that says you have to earn love, success, or rest, and simply allowing yourself to receive. When you shift the tone of your inner world even slightly, you begin to notice something subtle, yet miraculous. Reality starts to rearrange itself. Not always instantly, but consistently. You bump into people who reflect the new version of you. Opportunities feel a little more aligned. Synchronicities appear, small winks from the field, reminding you, yes, you're remembering now. Keep going. And when old patterns try to pull you back, you smile. Not because you're denying them, but because you recognize they're echoes of an old frequency you no longer choose to dance with. That's what this is about. Not controlling life, but partnering with it. Not forcing a new reality to appear, but allowing the current one to shift because you shifted. Remember, the vibration you hold is not a reaction to what is. It's a rehearsal for what's coming. And when you rehearse peace, gratitude, and worthiness over and over again, those notes start to echo outward. And eventually, what you feel inside begins to feel like the most natural thing in the world to see outside. So, maybe the question isn't, how do I make my life better? Maybe it's, what frequency am I living from right now, and what script is it writing for me next? Because once you become aware of the signal you're sending, you're no longer at the mercy of what shows up. You become the one holding the pen. And this time, you don't have to write in fear. You can write in light texts you can write in love. You can write in truth and reality. It will follow your lead. 2. Imagination is the portal to a parallel version of you. Sometimes we underestimate the quiet power of imagination. We think it's a toy for children, a break from the real world. But in truth, imagination is not a retreat. It's a return, not a fantasy but a frequency. When you close your eyes and imagine yourself already living the life you long for when you truly feel it, as if it were now, you are not escaping reality. You are aligning with a different version of it, a version that already exists in the quantum field. You see, the quantum doesn't operate on linear timelines. It doesn't ask whether you've earned your dream. It doesn't keep score of how long you've waited or how hard you've tried. It simply mirrors back the version of you that you are most in resonance with. If your heart is still aching for permission to want what you want, pause for a moment. You don't need to wait to be worthy. You only need to become the version of yourself who no longer questions it. Imagination is how you tune to that version, not through daydreaming, but through embodiment. When you feel it, really feel it in your breath, in your cells, in the way you walk across the room or sip your tea in the morning, you are no longer rehearsing. You are being. And here's what's miraculous. That subtle shift within your frequency doesn't go unnoticed. The field responds instantly. Not always with fireworks, not always with an immediate physical result, but with echoes, winks, signs that say, "We heard you. Keep vibrating this truth." A parking spot opens. An email arrives. A conversation unfolds that you didn't plan but somehow knew would happen. Why? Because you tuned into a parallel channel of your own life, one where what you desire is not a hope, but a memory. And the more you visit that version in imagination, the more familiar it becomes. Until one day, it doesn't feel like something you're trying to create. It feels like something that's already yours. And that's when it shows up. Not as a prize for effort, but as a match to your essence. Neville Goddard said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not because you're faking it, but because by assuming the feeling you're becoming the version of you who no longer doubts. You're no longer chasing the dream. You are the dream. And it's not magic. It's resonance. A tuning fork doesn't try to match a sound. It just vibrates, and whatever is tuned to it begins to hum in harmony. So does life. When your inner world begins to carry the tone of peace, of sufficiency, kind of quiet certainty, your outer world begins to harmonize. It's never about forcing anything to happen. It's about allowing yourself to remember who you've always been, beneath the noise of limitation and delay. So, the next time you feel drawn to a vision, don't push it away with logic. Sit with it, feel into it, walk with it in your heart, like an old friend, coming home. Because imagination is not just where you dream, it's where you remember. And the version of you that already lives that life, they're not somewhere far away. They're here, now, waiting for you to believe long enough to recognize yourself again. 3. Emotion is the electromagnetic signature of your future. You may have heard this before, but let me offer it to you in a deeper way. Your future is not created through sheer effort. It is magnetized through the subtle language of your emotional state. You see, the universe isn't responding to your to-do list. It's responding to your energy. And your energy, your frequency, is shaped not by what you plan, not by what you want, but by what you feel. Over and over again. In the quiet places of your being, most people are waiting for something outside to shift before they allow themselves to feel good. They think, when I get the job, then I'll relax. When the relationship works out, then I'll feel whole. But that's not how this field works. Gratitude, peace, joy, these aren't rewards you receive after things improve. They are the GPS signals you emit to guide life toward the version you long to live. It's like tuning into a radio station not with your ears, but with your heart. The clearer your emotional broadcast, the faster the alignment. So if you want to draw in a future that feels light, expansive, deeply fulfilling, you must begin to feel that way before anything looks different. And this isn't about pretending. It's not about forcing yourself into fake positivity. It's about remembering what it feels like to be in harmony, and then anchoring into that feeling now. Because when you truly feel it, that calm trust in the unfolding, that quiet joy in the small things, you stop chasing the dream like it's somewhere far away. You begin living in the same frequency where that dream already exists. It's the difference between waiting on a miracle and becoming the atmosphere where miracles feel at home. Let me offer you something simple, something you can try today. Close your eyes. Take a slow, steady breath. And instead of asking for anything, just feel what it would be like if nothing was missing. If the very thing you're longing for was already in motion, already weaving its way into your life. Feel the ease, the calm, the relief. Now, open your eyes. That version of you, the one who feels this peace, that's the real magnet. Not your resume, not your effort, but your state, and no one can control that but you. This is not wishful thinking. This is physics. Emotion is energy in motion, and in the quantum field, energy organizes matter. So the signature you send out emotionally is like your soul's calling card, and the future that matches it comes quietly toward you, like a tide drawn to the shore. What I've learned through years of hoping, failing, trying, and surrendering is this: your life is not listening to your wishes. It's listening to your vibration. And when you raise that vibration through honest, grounded emotion, even before the evidence shows up, you become the version of yourself that your future was waiting for. You don't chase the outcome anymore. You embody the experience. And life can't help but respond in kind. 4. You don't need to heal the past. You only need to rise beyond its frequency. There's a gentle truth that might feel radical at first. You don't have to go back and fix what happened. You only have to stop living at the same frequency where it happened. The past isn't chasing you. It's not hiding around corners waiting to strike again. What lingers is not the event, but the energy. You see, what we call the past is not a place in time. It's a state in consciousness. And as long as your inner state matches the energy of that memory, you'll feel as if you're still trapped inside it, looping it, reliving it. But here's the quiet revolution. You can choose to step out of that frequency without needing to justify, relive, or fix what occurred. Not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more. We often believe we must heal the wound by revisiting it, digging it up, analyzing it again and again, as if more understanding will finally set us free. But what if freedom doesn't come from understanding, but from outgrowing? Think of it like this. A snake doesn't go back to shed its old skin. It simply grows and lets the old layer fall away because it no longer fits. In the same way, you don't need to force healing. You only need to evolve into a version of yourself that no longer resonates with the hurt. When you change your state, when you breathe differently, respond differently, believe differently, you begin broadcasting a new signal. And the old story, it can no longer find you, because it only ever knew how to find the old you. That, my friend, is where true liberation begins. Not in digging through emotional ruins, but in planting yourself in a new garden, a garden where you no longer identify as the one who was hurt, but as the one who is free. This shift doesn't mean we deny what happened. It means we no longer allow it to define us. And this isn't about bypassing or pretending. It's about transcending with grace, with compassion, and with power. The past only has the weight we continue to carry. And every day, with every breath, you get to set something down. So ask yourself gently, what if you didn't have to keep rehearsing the pain? What if you could be loyal to your peace instead of your history? The moment you stop vibrating at the same emotional tone as the memory, you become invisible to it. It can no longer touch you, not because you fought it, but because you simply rose above it. Like mist dissolving as the sun rises, and what remains is clarity. You clear, calm, and connected to something greater than your story. You, no longer a product of your past, but a steward of the present, a creator of what comes next. 5. Presence is the doorway to infinite intelligence. There is a kind of knowing that doesn't speak in words. It doesn't shout for your attention. It doesn't compete with your thoughts. It waits quietly until you're quiet enough to hear it. You see, presence is not the absence of thought. It's the space in which wisdom finally has room to enter. And in a world addicted to noise, speed, and constant doing, presence is the most radical presence, magnetic, and healing thing you can offer yourself. When you step out of the spinning wheels of the mind, when you allow the noise to settle, like dust, in still air, something begins to rise. Not from outside you, but from within. It doesn't arrive as logic. It arrives as a knowing that has no explanation, yet feels more real than anything you've ever been taught. This is not imagination. It is resonance. It is what the mystics called direct experience, and what modern science now studies as coherence between the heart and the brain. In this state, you don't have to figure things out. You don't need more information, because something wiser than the intellect begins to guide you, not as a voice, but as a pull, not as a plan, but as a peaceful certainty. The truth is, presence is the intelligence of the universe, expressed through you. And the more you rest in this presence, the less you try to control, chase, or prove anything. You begin to live not from effort, but from alignment, not from striving, but from allowing. People often ask, what should I do to attract what I want? But that question itself implies that you are separate from it, that you must do something to earn or chase it. What if the real question is, can I be present enough to feel that it's already here? When you are present, you stop broadcasting resistance. You stop leaking energy through doubt, fear, or overthinking. And that absence of resistance, that deep stillness, is what draws life to you in the most natural, effortless way, like flowers opening to the sun, without force, like oceans reflecting the sky, without effort. Presence does not need to persuade. It invites, and everything responds to that quiet invitation. The world will tell you to run faster, think harder, push more. But what if the most powerful shift happens not when you run, but when you become still? Still enough to feel who you truly are, beneath the conditioning. Still enough to remember that you are not here to prove your worth, but to live it. And you do that by being here, fully, softly, without needing the next moment to be anything different than what it is. Because in that kind of presence, everything changes, without you having to change a thing. This is the paradox of the path. When you stop reaching, you begin receiving. When you stop chasing, life finds you. Not because you did anything, but because you became the version of yourself that stopped resisting what was already trying to reach you. Presence is not passive. It is powerful. It is your return to the frequency where life flows through you, not around you. So take a breath, not to fix anything, just to feel this moment. This breath, this space, it is enough, and so are you. 6. The quantum field responds to inner coherence. There is a truth you can't fake. Not to the universe, not to yourself. You can say all the right words. You can visualize every morning. You can write down affirmations until your hands ache. But if your energy is out of sync, if your thoughts, emotions, and inner beliefs are at war with each other, the quantum field doesn't respond to what you want. It mirrors what you are. And that changes everything. Because once you understand that reality is not responding to your surface desires, but to the frequency of your being, you stop trying to manipulate the outer world and begin the quiet, courageous work of aligning your inner world. This isn't about perfection. It's about coherence. Coherence is when your thoughts don't contradict your heart, when your body doesn't resist the truth your soul already knows. It's when you stop living in pieces and start vibrating in wholeness. And from that place, life softens. Not because the world becomes easier, but because your resistance fades. You no longer fight with what is. You stop sending mixed signals to the field. And without realizing it, you become like a clear channel, an instrument that life can finally play through. You see, the quantum field doesn't speak in language. It speaks in energy. It doesn't judge your effort, or your intentions, or your moral worth. It simply reflects your dominant vibration, the one that pulses beneath your words and behaviors. So if you're trying to manifest love, but deep down feel unworthy, you'll meet versions of reality that reflect that unworthiness. If you're seeking peace, but constantly argue with yourself, you'll find that even silence feels loud. But here's the gift. Coherence is not something you achieve. It's something you allow. And the moment you stop pretending, stop performing, and start truly being, your reality shifts. Like tuning a radio to the exact frequency. You don't need to force the music to play. It plays because you've matched the signal. That's what happens when your inner world lines up, You tune into the life that was waiting for you all along. And this doesn't require dramatic change. It starts in small, quiet moments. When you notice a fearful thought and breathe instead of running. When you let your body rest, not out of laziness, but out of deep listening. When you stop asking, "Am I doing it right?" and begin trusting that your presence is already enough. This is not magic. It's physics. It's resonance. It's alignment. It's the law of vibration at work silently, faithfully, always. And when you live from this place, you stop chasing outcomes. You stop striving to make things happen. Instead, life begins to feel like a gentle unfolding, not because every moment is easy, but because you're no longer fighting the river. You're floating with it, becoming it, letting it carry you to the version of yourself that always existed, just on a different frequency. So if you've been wondering why things haven't shifted, look not at what you're doing, but at how you're being. Are your thoughts saying one thing, but your energy whispering another? Are your words saying, "I trust," but your nervous system bracing for impact? Coherence is when all of you finally says the same thing. And when you arrive there softly, honestly, wholeheartedly, the field will echo back, the life that matches. Because the universe is not testing you, it's tuning to you. 7. Your energy changes others even when you say nothing sometimes. The greatest transformations don't come from loud declarations, but from silent presence. You may not realize this, but when you shift your frequency, when you start choosing peace over chaos, trust over fear, alignment over pretending, you don't just change your own life. You quietly begin to change the room you walk into, not through teaching, not through convincing, but through resonance, because energy is contagious. Have you ever stood near someone who radiated calm and suddenly your breath slowed, or entered a space where no words were spoken, but you felt safe, grounded, home? That's not coincidence. That's coherence in action. The moment you begin healing your inner world, you start sending new waves into the collective field. Waves of clarity, waves of compassion, waves of remembrance. And what's beautiful is you don't have to try to make an impact. Your beingness is the impact. You become a quiet lighthouse, not shouting through the storm, but simply standing, lit from within, so that others can remember the way back to shore. This is the sacred ripple effect of frequency. One person who remembers who they are awakens the memory in others, not by demanding they wake up, but by embodying the possibility that they can. And this isn't some lofty spiritual concept. It's physics. It's resonance. It's the field of entrainment, where a stronger, more coherent vibration naturally brings others into harmony. You heal yourself, and without meaning to, you become the permission for someone else to soften. 2. Your forgiveness teaches others. It's safe to let go. Your presence shows them how to be still. Your joy reminds them that life is meant to feel good again. And this matters more than you know, because so many are walking through life frozen, guarded, braced, waiting for the world to feel safe enough to open. But when you open first, not perfectly, not all at once, but honestly, you give them a glimpse of what's possible. You say, not with your mouth, but with your frequency, "It's okay now. You can exhale here." And sometimes, that's all it takes. You see, healing is not just personal, it's collective. When you choose to break the pattern, you're not just ending a cycle in your own life, you're ending it for generations that came before you, and softening the road for those who will come after. So if you've ever felt like your healing journey is invisible, like no one notices the quiet work you're doing, remember this. Every time you respond with grace instead of reaction, every time you breathe through a trigger instead of projecting it, every time you choose love over fear, you are transmitting something real, something lasting, something that doesn't need a platform or applause. It moves through you, into the space, into the field, and it lingers, like the scent of a flower long after it's been picked. You may not see it, but someone will feel it. And because you were there, they may remember who they are a little sooner. That is the quiet miracle of energy. And you, just by being who you truly are, become the catalyst. 8. The life you dream of is looking for the real you. There's a quiet image you've been carrying in your heart. A life that feels lighter, freer, more aligned. A version of you who breathes more deeply, walks more slowly, and wakes up with a sense of belonging that doesn't depend on approval. And I want you to know, that's not a fantasy. That's a signal. That vision is not something you made up out of longing. It's a memory, a whisper from a parallel version of you who is already living in alignment with the energy you were always meant to embody. You're not chasing a dream. You're remembering a frequency, and in the quiet moments, when you're not rushing, proving, or fixing, you can feel it. That subtle pull, not asking you to become more, but simply to return. You see, your dream life isn't waiting for you at the end of more effort. It's waiting behind the layers you've been taught to carry, the masks, the defenses, the stories of not enough. It's not a mountain you have to climb. It's a door you unlock by shedding everything that's not truly you. That's the paradox of this path. It doesn't demand more striving. It asks for softness. The world may have told you that your dreams are far away, that you need to earn them. Prove yourself. Climb your way through scarcity and struggle. But what if the opposite is true? What if your only real job is to align with the version of you who already belongs in that life? And you do that not by force, but by release, not by tightening, but by relaxing into presence. You start to ask different questions. Not, how do I get there? But, what part of me is still pretending I'm not already worthy? Not, how do I fix myself to fit that life? But, what am I willing to let go of so I can return to myself? This is not about becoming more, it's about becoming real. Like a sculpture hidden inside a block of marble, your true life has always been there. Beneath the noise, the conditioning, the survival, your role is not to carve something new. It's to chip away the false until the shape that was always meant to be revealed emerges. That's why the dreams that persist in your heart matter. They're not distractions. They're directions. And they're not asking you to exhaust yourself to chase them. They're asking you to trust them enough to unbecome, to allow what's false to fall away, to say no to what no longer fits, to risk disappointing others, if that's the cost of not disappointing yourself. Because here's the truth, the version of life that belongs to you, the one you can see in glimpses when you're quiet enough, is not something you'll achieve one day. It's a frequency that is actively seeking you now, calling you inward, calling you deeper, calling you home. And when you drop the tension, when you stop negotiating with the old stories, when you choose honesty over habit, you'll feel it drawing near, not with fanfare, but with quiet clarity. Because the dream is not outside of you. It's the most real part of you, finally asking to be lived. 9. The problem isn't resistance. It's thinking you are the resistance. There will still be waves. No matter how much you heal, no matter how deeply you meditate, the tides of life will continue to rise and fall. Fear will visit. Doubt may whisper again. Old emotions might come knocking when you least expect them. But that doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean you're broken. It simply means you're alive. You see, the real suffering begins not when fear appears, but when you mistake the fear for yourself. When you say, "I'm anxious," instead of gently noticing, there's a wave of anxiety passing through. When you say, "I'm stuck," instead of realizing, there's a part of me struggling to move forward, but I am more than that part. Freedom isn't about never feeling resistance again. It's about remembering you are not the resistance. You are the ocean that holds the wave. You are the vast sky where all storms pass. And just like the ocean isn't afraid of a ripple, you no longer need to be afraid of your own emotions. They are movement. You are the stillness behind it. They are passing. You are presence. And the moment you stop identifying with the tension, something miraculous happens. You don't have to fight it anymore. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to wrestle with it like it's an enemy. You simply observe. You breathe. And in that breath, you return to your center. Because awareness doesn't resist. It witnesses. It allows. And in that allowing, there's an alchemy, a soft dissolving of everything that once felt heavy. You realize the pain was never in the wave itself, but in believing you were the wave. That's when peace returns. Not because the storm disappeared, but because you remembered you are not the storm. You are the ocean that contains it all. And from that place, you stop fearing your own inner world. You stop shrinking every time something uncomfortable arises. You know now it's just weather, passing clouds, shifting winds, none of it permanent, none of it personal. You don't need to figure out why it came. You don't need to control when it leaves. You just need to stop calling it you, because who you truly are is always deeper, always quieter, always still. It's the gentle spaciousness beneath the story. It's the silent witness who was there, even when the pain was loud. And the more you rest there, not try to rest, but gently return, the less power your fears have. Not because you overpowered them, but because you stopped fueling them with your identity. And that, my friend, is where true liberation begins. Not in never falling, but in realizing you were never the faller to begin with. Not in numbing yourself to emotion, but in allowing every wave to rise and fall. Without forgetting, you are still the sea. So next time resistance shows up, don't ask how to push it away. Just smile softly, place a hand on your heart, and whisper, "I see you, but I am not you. I am the presence you pass through." And just like that, you are free again. You were never here to chase. You were never here to chase anything. Not success, not validation, not even healing. You didn't come to prove yourself to the world. You came to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. And that remembering, it doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It whispers. It speaks in moments that seem ordinary. A breath, a pause, a quiet morning where you feel more you than you've felt in years. Because that's the secret, isn't it? The life you've been imagining. It's not some distant reward for being good enough. It's not waiting on the other side of 1,000 to-do lists or a perfect version of you. It's here, now, humming underneath the noise, responding to your frequency. You see, every thought, every emotion, every breath is a signal. You are the one broadcasting. The universe isn't punishing or rewarding. It's matching. It's mirroring. And it's not asking you to fight harder. It's simply waiting for you to tune in, waiting for you to stop efforting and start aligning, to stop forcing your dreams to come true, and instead become the person who naturally lives inside them. Because when you do, the miraculous becomes mundane. The extraordinary becomes expected. You no longer say, "This is too good to be true." You say, Of course peace has found me because I stopped chasing noise. Of course love flows to me because I remembered I am love. Of course abundance shows up because my frequency became a match for it. And no, this isn't about pretending. It's not about plastering positivity on pain. It's about choosing truth. And the truth is, you don't have to become anyone else. You don't have to do more to deserve what's already yours. You just have to remember. Remember that presence is power. That feeling is the language of creation. That every cell in your body already knows how to come home. So today, instead of reaching outward, reach inward. Instead of pushing harder, soften deeper. Instead of asking life to change, let yourself shift. Close your eyes and feel the version of you who already lives the life you long for. Feel their breath, their posture, their calm, and for just one moment, let it be real. Not someday, not when everything lines up. Now, because once you remember how to live from that place, everything that once felt miraculous simply becomes obvious, natural, unfolding like a flower in sunlight, not because it was forced, but because the environment finally matched its nature. That's what your life is waiting for. Not perfection, not performance, just resonance. So pause, feel into your frequency, and let life rise to meet you there. Because it always has. Because it always will. Because it was never somewhere else. It was always you.